Hi, and welcome to Digital Blueprint Store tutorial. In this video, I will show you how to set up and use your Ultimate Project Manager in the most efficient way. In this video, I am using Google Sheets, but the Excel version is exactly the same. First thing, we protect most of the cells where there are formulas to make sure that you don't erase any important formulas that could impact the spreadsheet. So if you see this message, it means you're not supposed to touch it. But don't worry, I'll show you step by step how to prepare your spreadsheet. So if by mistake you touch a cell and you see this message, simply click on the X and you will be fine. Moreover, we established a color code to show you which cells can be edited and which one cannot. So basically, you only can edit the cells that have a white background. Another small warning, please don't move a cell from one place to another. If you do move a cell, it could generate an issue by messing up the automation of the spreadsheet. The best way to avoid these errors is simply to copy and paste your data. So the first tab is the Setup tab. In this tab, you will set up all your information needed for the spreadsheet. As you can see, on the left-hand side of the tab, you find a ribbon with a list of all the tabs to easily navigate through them. The tabs are separated by sections for easy navigation. So we have the Setup section, which we are currently in. Then we have the Dashboard section that includes the main dashboard, the monthly calendar, as well as the weekly calendar tabs. Then we created a specific section to manage your projects, including a project dashboard, a project manager, and also a budget tab. Then the task creation section to enter all your tasks and manage them. And the last section is for extra resources, including a decision metrics tab, the Kanban, as well as the Gantt chart tab. This menu is retractable and you could shrink it by simply clicking on a small minus sign. It's the only time where you will see this message and you can click on OK. Then, if you want to see this menu again, you can simply click on the plus sign, click on OK, and it will reappear again. This menu is also clickable for easy navigation. So to easily access another tab of the spreadsheet, you could simply click on the tab name and the spreadsheet will automatically open this tab. So now let's return to the Setup tab. Here, you'll find several tables that are essential to configuring the rest of the spreadsheet, especially the drop-down menus used throughout the planner. The first step is to set your currency symbol. By default, it is set to the $sign, but you can change it to any symbol you prefer. And the entire spreadsheet will update automatically. So you simply have to type in your currency symbol. Next, you can create a personalized list of emoji to visually highlight the status of your task and projects. You can add more emoji at any time using a site like Emojipedia. So let's do an example together and let's remove the flame here. Let's go to Emojipedia. And since it's Thanksgiving weekend, we will click on the turkey. So simply click on copy. As you can see, it was copied. Go back to your spreadsheet and paste it in the formula bar. As you can see here, now we have a turkey in our emoji pool. After that, simply fill in your data to populate the drop-down menus for the status, the Kanban categories, people in charge, as well as project categories. A quick note, the order of the Kanban categories matters. For example, if your list starts with the backlog, then to do, this will appear as the first and second columns on your Kanban board. The final section of this tab is slightly different. Here, you can define your working days for the project scheduling as well as your holiday dates, which will automatically reflect in the Gantt chart. So for now, I'm going to skip the dashboard section, including the project dashboard, and instead focus on the project management section. We'll come back to the dashboard at the end of this tutorial. So let's take a look at the Project Manager tab. Before we begin, just be careful with this tab because it isn't protected. That's to make sure you can filter the data freely, but also means you should avoid deleting any formulas, especially those in cells with a gray background. If you notice that some dates are highlighted in red, it means that one or more variable tasks assigned to this specific project do not fit within the project's timeline. If the start dates is in red, it means at least one task begins before the project's official start dates. If the end date is in red, it means a task extends beyond the project's planned end dates. At the top of the tab, you'll find helpful project statistics, such as the distribution of statuses and the distribution by project manager. On the left-hand side, you'll also see the total number of completed projects and the number of projects due today. And just below that, you'll find a small feature that lets you highlight any projects for quick research. the selected projects will instantly be highlighted in blue. So let's take an example together and enter some data in the spreadsheet. So in the project name, simply type in the project's name. So Apollo project, for example. So here's a small difference if you're using Google Sheet or Excel. So if you are in Google Sheet like this one, you can simply double-click on the cell and you will see a small calendar. Simply click on the date that you want to select. If you are in Excel, however, you will have to type in the date because this small calendar feature does not exist, unfortunately. As you can see here, the gray column is totally automated. Then for the priority, simply use the drop-down menu to select the priority. The progression is typed in. Then use the drop-down menu to select the status. For the description, you can simply type in something. Same thing for the person in charge, use the drop-down menu. Same thing for the project category, you simply have to use the drop-down menu. As for the budget, expenses, revenue, and profit column, we will leave them empty and we will give you a better example using the project budget a little bit later in this tutorial. So now let's take a small example and filter our projects. So let's filter by the status. So simply click on the inverted triangle, then clear everything. And we want to see only our overdue projects. So simply click on overdue and then OK. As you can see here, it seems like we have around 5 projects that are overdue. If you want to remove the filter, simply go back to the filter and then select all and then click on OK. And as you can see, all your data will reappear. So now let's take a look at the Project Budget tab. This tab is designed to help you define your project's budget and track expenses so you can easily see whether you're staying financially on track. Just keep in mind this tab is built to enter one project at a time, so if you want to track several projects at the same time, you'll simply need to duplicate the tab. At the top of the page, start by selecting the project you want to analyze. Once you do that, all the relevant project data is automatically pulled in. After that, you can select your task using the drop-down menu. Only the task linked to the selected project will appear. The description, status, start date, and end date will autofill, and you can manually add the planned start date if needed. When everything is set, you'll see 3 main sections for building your project budget: labor, materials, and fixed costs. All of these feed into the balance section at the end, giving you a clear summary of your total costs. This makes the tab especially useful if you need to prepare a quote for a client. In the labor section, simply enter the number of hours you expect to work on each task and your hourly rate. The total labor cost will be calculated automatically. And if you use different hourly rates, no problem. You can spread the same task across multiple rows. The material section works the same way. Just type in the number of units and the unit price, and the spreadsheet handles the total for you. For the fixed cost, you'll find 3 simple columns where you can list things like travel expenses or equipment fees. All of these totals are automatically included in the balance section, so you can see the full financial picture of your project. The goal of this tab is to compare your actual cost with your planned budget. To fill in the real column, simply scroll to the right and enter your expenses in the expense tracker table. Add each real expense by entering the date, selecting the related task, and type in the amount. Once both the budget and real columns are filled in, the different column and the progress indicators will update automatically. You'll also see a column marked with a percentage symbol. This shows how much each task contributes to the total project expenses. So in this example here, we see 27% for the task called user training session. So the 24% for this task specifically means that it's 20% of the whole projects. However, we can see that this task specifically is very expensive since it's 160% more than the planned budget. After completing this tab, it's best to return to the Project Manager tab and enter the project's budget, expenses, and revenue. The profit will be calculated automatically. So let's take an example together and base these on these numbers here. So let's go back to our Apollo projects. Let's say the budget is 14,000 and something. So let's type in the number here. It was 14,625. And then let's enter the expenses, which are $4,500. The revenue will depend on how much you invoiced your client, for example. So let's say for this specific project, we invoiced the client for about $10,000. So as you can see here, for this project, the profit is more than $5,000. The task creation section is divided into 4 tabs. The first one is the variable tasks for all one-time tasks that don't repeat. Then the recurring task to set up tasks that repeat on a regular basis, such as weekly meetings. Then we have the task schedule, a visual overview of all your recurring tasks, allowing you to review and adjust them easily. And then finally, we have the task filter, a comprehensive view that combines both variable and recurring tasks with powerful filtering and sorting options to help you stay organized. So now let's explore the variable task tab, which offers a user-friendly interface. First thing, be careful because this tab is not protected to allow you to filter. So make sure to never erase any important formulas that are in cells with a gray background. You simply need to select a project and a phase for your tasks and then enter your task and description. Assigning a phase in your project to your task is not essential, but it is mandatory to correctly display your task in the Gantt chart tab. If you do not have specific phases for your task and you want to visualize your projects in the Gantt chart, then you can simply assign phase 1, for example. Then you can define the task status, which is chosen from a drop-down menu, the priority, the person in charge, the start date, and the due date. The system automatically calculates the number of days left. This tab is linked to the Kanban board, and you will be able to define the Kanban category. Next, you can indicate whether the task is important and/or urgent. Based on your selections, the spreadsheet will automatically categorize the task as do, delegate, delete, or decide using the Eisenhower matrix framework. Then you can set the progress, and there's also a designated area for notes if needed. Upon completing a task, you can mark it by checking the checkbox on the left side of the table, resulting in a strike-through effect. At the top of the tab, you'll find task statistics presented through a bar chart that represents the task priorities, and 3 pie charts, one sorting task by status, another illustrating distribution per person in charge, and the last one displaying task distribution depending on their decision matrix status. You also have on the left-hand side the possibility to highlight a task to do a quick research, as well as the overall number of completed tasks and the number of tasks due today. So now let's run an example together and assign a task to our project called Apollo Projects that we used earlier in this tutorial. So simply use the drop-down menu to find your project's name, then use the drop-down menu to select the phase. Let's say it's phase 1, and let's say the task is simply send an email to our client. Then you could write a description. This is not necessary, it's an easy task. Use the drop-down menu for the status, use the drop-down menu for the priority, use the drop-down menu for person in charge. Then simply assign a start date as well as a due date. It could be the same day or it could be different days. As you can see here, the number of days left is calculated. As you can see here, when we select today's date, it's also highlighted in green for easy organization. Then use the drop-down menu to select the Kanban category. And then you can tick if this task is important or urgent. And the decision will be automatically done for you as to do, to delegate, to delete, or to decide. Then you can type in the progress as well. As for the filters, it works exactly the same as the project manager in this specific tab. Simply select all the data that you want to see and it will appear for you. Now let's take a look at the recurring task tab. This tab allows you to set up all your recurring tasks over the year. Typically, these tasks are always the same every week or every month, and they do not take a lot of time to do. This way, you'll be able to enter just one row for these tasks instead of having to do so weekly, for example. So the first thing to do is to select the project for your task. Then enter a task name, set a frequency for these tasks, and enter a description. Then you could define the priority, the person in charge, and define if the task is important or urgent, like in the variable task tab. Once this is done, simply enter the due date of the first task and enter an end date if there is one. So let's enter a task name, let's say Monday meeting. Then use the drop-down menu to select the frequency. So let's say every week. We could write a description, use the drop-down menu to define the priority, the person in charge, and then tick the box if it is important or urgent. And then define the first date. So this is a Monday meeting, so we will define it on Monday. Then let's say this specific project will finish at the end of January. Then we will have an end date for the end of January, let's say the last Monday of January, which would be January 26th. On another important note, if you have, for example, a meeting like the Monday meeting every day of the week from Monday to Friday, what you'll have to do is basically to log it 5 times. So you'll need to log a separate task for each day of the week from Monday to Friday and set the frequency to weekly. This is how the spreadsheet is designed to handle daily tasks in the simplest way. So now let's take a look at the recurring task schedule tab. First thing, be careful because this tab is not protected to allow you to filter it. So make sure to never erase any formulas that are located in the cells with the gray background. In this tab, you have the summary of your recurring tasks sorted by date. This tab only displays your recurring task and not the variable ones. Cells with a gray background are totally automated, and all your recurring tasks appear here chronologically sorted. However, the white columns are not automated and will not shift accordingly as they do not contain formulas. If you need to do any modification to a task concerning the date, the priority, the person in charge, or the final decision, you could simply indicate the modification in these 4 columns on the right-hand side. You also have a column to add a status to your tasks. Be careful if you add a new task in the Recurring Task tab. All gray cells may shift down to maintain chronological order. However, the white cells on the right side are not automated and will not move with the rest of the row. To avoid misalignment, we recommend adding new recurring tasks only after the last filled row. Once everything looks correct, you don't need to make any other changes. When a task is completed, simply tick the checkbox under the Done column. You also have 7 powerful filters that lets you display only what you want to see. For example, if you want to view only your high priority tasks, just select High in the priority filter. If you want to remove the filter, simply click on the priority filter, select all 7, and then click OK. For Excel users, this tab works a bit differently because these advanced filters are unfortunately not available. Instead, you'll find a standard filter at the top of the table, which functions the same way for sorting and filtering your tasks. Now let's take a look at the Task Filter tab. First, be careful. This tab isn't protected, so you can freely filter it, but make sure not to delete any formulas. This tab lets you filter every single task in your system, including both variable and recurring tasks. By default, all tasks are sorted chronologically by due date. The filtering works exactly the same way as the Project Manager tab and the variable tasks, making it quick and intuitive to use. As you can see here, we filter our task by status as well as importance. So only tasks with these both parameters are showing. To remove the filter, do as usual, simply select all 2, same thing for the status, select all 9, and then click on OK. As you can see, all the data will reappear. Now let's explore the Extra Resources section. This section includes 3 powerful tabs designed to support different aspects of your task and project management. The Decision Matrix tab helps you prioritize tasks by evaluating their urgency and importance, making it easier to decide whether to do, delegate, delete, or defer them. The Kanban tab provides a visual workflow board to track the progress of your task across different stages, offering a clear snapshot of what's in progress, completed, or pending. Then the Gantt chart tabs gives you a timeline-based view of your projects, helping you schedule and monitor tasks over time to ensure everything stays on track. So let's dive into the Decision Matrix tab. This tab is largely automated. Your only inputs are selecting the month and entering the year at the top left. You can also choose to filter the view to show only completed tasks, only pending tasks, or all your tasks. And finally, you also have the option to display tasks specific to a project. Below the filter options, you'll see a list of all the tasks for the selected month, along with the key details like their due date, importance, urgency, and the resulting action category. On the right-hand side, tasks are automatically sorted into 4 sections based on the Eisenhower matrix: due, decide, delegate, and delete. To help you stay aligned with this method, a visual reference of the matrix is included at the top left. For instance, tasks that are urgent but not important should be delegated. Finally, you'll also find a progress chart in the same area, giving you a quick overview of how much you've accomplished in each category and your total progress for the month. Now let's take a look at the Kanban board tab. In this tab, everything is automated based on the Variable Task tab. Recurring tasks do not appear in this tab. The only thing you have to manage is the filter options. So simply open the filter option by clicking on the small plus at the top of the page. There, you will be able to filter your tasks to have a better visual. At the top of the column, you'll have a small legend of the colors in the task boxes. So as you can see, all the tasks are colored based on their priority. So let's take an example together on how to use your Kanban board. So let's first filter all the tasks by their priority. So let's say low. So as you can see here, we only have blue tasks, which means that are low priority. So let's say we want to move the content creation task. So what we will have to do is to go back to the variable tasks, first located. So as you can see, it's right there in low priority. If we want to move it, we simply need to go to the column called Kanban category, use the drop-down menu, and change it from backlog to in progress. So now let's go back to our Kanban board. And as you can see, our content creation task is now in the progress column. And then again, to remove the filter, simply select the low, click on delete, and all your data will reappear. Now let's explore the Gantt chart tab. This tab helps you visually plan and manage all the tasks for a single project. It tracks one project at a time, so if you want to manage multiple projects at the same time, simply duplicate this tab. The Gantt chart displays only variable tasks. Recurring tasks are intentionally excluded to keep the timeline clean and accurate. To get started, simply select your project from the drop-down menu at the top. This one cell is essentially the only cell that you'll need to edit here. Everything else is almost entirely automated. Because each variable task already includes a project and a phase, the entire Gantt chart updates instantly as soon as you select the project. The layout is organized into 15 collapsible phases, each containing up to 30 tasks. You can expand and collapse these sections using the small plus on the left, and you can rename the phases if needed. For each task, you'll see its progress, start and end dates, duration, priority, person in charge, status, and remaining days, all fully automated. The only editable cells inside the charts are the bar colors. By default, bars are pink for ongoing tasks, green when completed, and include a red segment if overdue. You can easily switch to your preferred colors using the drop-down menus to customize the visual style of your chart. On the right, the Gantt timeline is fully automated. Daily intervals are displayed with weekly separators to improve clarity. Today's date appears in red. Workdays are white, weekends are light gray, and holidays defined in the setup tabs are shown in dark gray. A color legend is available at the top to help you quickly interpret everything at a glance. Now that we've covered the entire spreadsheet, let's go back to the dashboard section, starting with the project dashboard. This tab is almost fully automated except the two elements, the project selection drop-down menu and the small calendar. Begin with selecting a project from the drop-down menu. The entire tab will instantly update based on your choice. Just below, you'll see a summary table displaying the key information for that specific project. You'll also find the project revenue, a chart comparing your budget to your actual expenses and your profit margin. On the right-hand side, you'll see everything related to the task associated with this project. There's a small calendar where you can define the year and the month you want to view, as well as the starting day of the week. Further right, you'll find 4 charts showing the priority of your remaining tasks, the person in charge, the task status distribution, and the decision breakdown. Below that section is a summary of all overdue tasks for this project, along with upcoming tasks organized from the soonest to the furthest. You'll see the task name, status, person in charge, and due date. The color column on the left indicates the task priority. Finally, in the center of the tab, you'll find the overall project progress and individual progress bars for each decision category. Now let's take a look at the dashboard section. This section is made up of 3 tabs: the overall dashboard, which provides a complete summary of your entire spreadsheet, the monthly calendar, as well as the weekly calendar, which helps you visualize your task at a glance. Let's begin with the overall dashboard tab. This tab gives you a full overview of your entire system in one place. At the top right, you'll find 3 quick access icons, like linking directly to the decision matrix, the Kanban board, and the Gantt chart tabs. Just click to jump to any of these sections. The dashboard is divided into 2 main areas. The left side, which is the project overview. On the left, you'll see a global overview of all your projects from the selected month. The entire section is driven by the calendar setup table. Once you choose the year and the month you want to display, the small calendar below updates to show all bays with at least one task due. You will also see the total number of unfinished projects due this month, the overall progress of these projects, a distribution of projects during the month, 3 charts to display status, priority, and financial summary for this specific month. Below this area, you'll find a list of all your unfinished projects for the month. Overdue projects appear in red, current and upcoming projects appear in black. For each project, you can see the name, plan and date, number of days remaining, progress status, person in charge, and category. The color bar on the left indicates the project's priority level. Then on the right, you'll find your task progress for today, all of today's tasks that are still not completed, and just below, a list of all upcoming tasks sorted chronologically for easy planning. Now let's explore the monthly calendar tab. This tab includes a lot of features and possibilities and is really powerful. You could, for example, display tasks or projects, and the calendar will automatically adjust to display the according task or projects due to the selected month. Then simply enter the year and select the month you'd like to view. You can also customize the start day of the week to match your preference. Below, you'll find a small summary calendar. In this calendar, today's date is in bright blue, and days with task or projects due are in light blue. Below this calendar, you'll find multiple filter options. If no filters are applied, all tasks or projects scheduled for the selected month will automatically appear in the calendar. Tasks and projects marked as done in their respective tabs will display a check mark in the first column and will be visually grayed out with a strike through for easy recognition. This update happens automatically when you mark a task as done in either the variable tasks or task schedule tab, or when you mark a project as done in the project manager tab. You'll also find a set of filter option. Select the specific project to display all the tasks specific to this project. This is only pertinent if you decide to display tasks in the calendar and not projects. Choose to display all tasks or projects, only completed tasks, or only those that are still due. Hide tasks with a specific status if desired. Select whether you want tasks to be color-coded by priority or by the Eisenhower decision category. This will update both the legend and the calendar color accordingly. Same for the filter. This is only pertinent if you selected tasks because the Eisenhower matrix only apply to tasks and not projects. At the bottom left of the page, your monthly progress is summarized so you can easily track how you're doing. You also have some space for notes. Each calendar day supports up to 7 tasks or projects. If more than 7 are scheduled, a warning will appear at the bottom of that day's cell. In this case, we recommend switching to the weekly calendar tab for a more detailed view. With this setup, staying on top of your monthly task becomes simple and intuitive. You can also print this calendar if you would like to. To do so, simply select all the calendar with your mouse, then click on the printing icon. Make sure that all the parameters are fine, so you need to click on selected cells. I think the page orientation is better in landscape, and then simply click on Next. So now let's explore the weekly calendar tab. It is really simple. The weekly calendar works exactly the same as the monthly calendar tab. The only difference is that you can decide the exact day when you want to start the week. So simply type in the date, and as you can see, everything will update. I hope this tutorial helps you easily set up your spreadsheet. Don't hesitate to reach out if you have any questions or concerns. Follow Digital Blueprint Store on YouTube for sneak peeks on our new templates.